Now, when you see the solar system, we see the sun, 8 planets which are revolving around the sun. And the planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. There are some dwarf planets which also orbits around the sun in their orbits, but they are too dwarf to be called as an actual planet. Example, Pluto. Then comets. Comets is the ball of ice and dust orbiting in elliptical orbits around the sun. Then there are asteroids. Asteroids are made up of rocks and metals and are smaller than the planets. And there are meteors, which are the shooting stars, which are dust and debris, which burns when they enters the Earth. So you should know what are the different components of the solar system and what they are exactly. Now, after the solar system, it's very important to understand how the star formed. So the star is formed originally, it's a cloud of gas, rock, and dust. The cloud condensed and pulled to form and concentrate and form a protostar by the gravitational pull. So the gravitational pull condensed this cloud of gas, rock, and dust. The particles collide within the cloud and the kinetic energy converted into heat energy, which gave them sufficient energy to carry out nuclear fusion, and that fusion released massive amount of heat. So there was fusion, which is releasing heat and light, which turned a protostar into a star. The star can then attract other rocks and dust and form planets. This is how a star is being formed, and you should know what is the process of formation of a star. Now it is very important to know the life cycle of the star. So it starts with the stellar nebula, and if there is a normal star, then it becomes a red giant, and then it becomes a white dwarf. On the other hand, if there's a star bigger than that of the sun, then it goes into a red supergiant, and then it explodes to form a supernova, and a supernova can then break to form a black hole and a neutron star. Now, from the stellar nebula, it becomes to a protostar and the star, and it starts to do the nuclear fusion. Now, as all the hydrogen is used up for the fusion, then the gravitational pull and fusion is no longer balanced and the star explodes. So here, all the elements are used up, no fusion, the star collapsed due to gravity, and the star heats and turns red, yellow, and white. Now, if you see in the supergiant, helium and other elements fuse to form the other elements, and when the star explodes, the star compresses and then explode to form a supernova, and the supernova give lots of other elements in explosion. So you should know what is the difference between the life cycle of a star if it is of the size of the sun or greater than size of the sun. Okay. Now, next is satellite. Now, a satellite is an object that revolves around the planet, and they can be natural and artificial. Natural is the moon. Artificial are the ones required for weather forecasting, monitoring the environment, communication, and GPS tracking. Satellites move in a particular orbit around the Earth. The force is the centripetal force, which arises due to force of gravity, and it is directed at right angle. In the orbits, the satellite speed and the kinetic energy do not change, as its speed is the same, but velocity changes due to the change in direction. Okay? Now, what is redshift? Now, to understand redshift, it is very important you understand this figure. If the source is moving away from you, you will see that the wavelength of the light is more, and it is shifted more towards the red region. And if the source is moving towards you, then the wavelength of the wave will be less and it will be more blue shifted. Now, this phenomenon is a Doppler's effect. It says when the source is moving away from the observer, the wavelength of the light increases and it is towards the red region of the spectrum. And when the source is moving towards the observer, the wavelength of the light decreases and it moves towards the blue region of the spectrum. The light coming from the stars and from the distant galaxy is redshift. So further the galaxy, greater the redshift, which explains that the universe is expanding. That is, that the stars and the components are moving away from you. And this is what was the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory says that the universe was concentrated into one mass, which exploded with a Big Bang and is expanding now as well. There was a story, another, which is opposite to that, which states the steady state theory that universe always existed and it will last forever and the density of the universe will remain constant. Now, there are no evidences for the steady state theory, but we have evidences for the Big Bang theory. And what are the two evidences for the Big Bang theory? One is a redshift, that we are seeing that the light that is coming from the distant star and galaxy is redshifted. And we see cosmic microwave background radiation. These are the remains of the radiation that comes out from the Big Bang, and scientists have discovered CMB are coming from distant galaxy, which supports the Big Bang. And the second evidence is, as I have explained you, is a redshift, that the light coming from the stars and from the distant galaxy is redshift, which means that the galaxy is moving away from you, the universe is expanding. Okay, so hopefully now you have understood the different components of this unit. You should now be able to define solar system, protostar, shooting star, main sequence star, red giant, white dwarf, black dwarf, red supergiant, supernova, neutron star, black hole, centripetal force, redshift, Big Bang theory, cosmic microwave background radiation, dark matter. I want you to pause this video, have a go with these answers, and then come back and check the answers. All these answers can be found on our website, and the link is mentioned in the description box below. As always, the next step is check the specification and do the exam questions on this topic. All can be found on our website. The link is shared in the description box below. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon next to that so that you get notified as soon as I put up a new video. And I'll be putting a lot of helpful and engaging videos before your exams. Okay, so I'll see you next in the next video. Till then, happy revising.